If you're like me, fall is your favorite season. And I know that's a very I'm not like other girls comment, but the chilly weather, the unpredictable elements kind of brings a lot of things that I love about fashion to the forefront, mainly boots. And while I have a couple different ideas for how to talk about fall, particularly when it comes to colors and such like that, I want to just talk with you guys about rotation particularly. So what I do is I have 5 main boots that I go through each season. I'm lucky enough to have a collection of boots that I'm very happy with. I'm unlucky in the sense that I can't just have them all out. I know some of you have the room. My wife doesn't allow that in terms of my family and space. So let me show you what my issue is, and I have a question for you guys. Because what I do is I set up basically this small little rack where I have the quick access boots, like 5 or 6 that I can generally reach. And I know there's one missing. That's generally the wild card where I've purchased a new boot and I'm trying to break it in, trying to see what it's all about. But I have 5 main boots, and then off to the side, I'll kind of have them still in their boxes. And since I have enough of a collection that I can't always pick a good rotation of boots, I say, okay, here's the 5 that I really want to try to wear this season. And I guess my question to you all is, how do you guys handle your rotations for those of you that do have a big enough collection? I know some of you might only have 1 or 2 boots. That's rocking awesome. Some of you might have 20 boots and have them all out. But for those of you that are kind of dealing with space issues, I'd love to hear in the comments down below how you manage that. But let's go through this because I kind of have a strategy where every season, spring, winter, fall, and even summer, I am a boot guy in summer too, to a reasonable extent. I have 5 boots that I pick, and I'll give you a hint right now. Every one of these videos is going to be a brown boot and a black boot, just because those are the classic go-tos. I'm always going to have a red boot too. That's just a personal style, and it's kind of what I've been going through for the last couple of years, is I always want a red color in my footwear. I don't know why. But then generally what I do is I have kind of like a workhorse, one that I'm not worried about getting kind of messed up and such. And then my 5th is usually just something I'm trying to push more, try to experiment more, whether it be the leather, the style of the boot, or even like a color that I don't normally go with. So let's kind of walk through what I'm choosing for my 5 fall boots for this season. All right, number 1, let's start with the brown and the classic wedge boot. You can't really go wrong, I think, with a wedge boot in fall. I love my 875s. There is nothing wrong with an 875 in Red Wing, but this season I'm going to go with a boot that I just got recently. I've never had a Waxy Commander or a, what's the Horween version called again? Oh, Wax Flush. You start with kind of like a suede, and then there's like a layer of wax that gets ironed on. That's why it's kind of hard to restore it to the current status, which is what I think is interesting. This is the last time this boot's going to look like this. And as you wear it, the wax is going to wear off, and you're going to start to see some of the nap down below. And I think it just kind of adds a really cool and fast way of getting a patina on a boot. I do know some people try to restore it, but by whole and large, I think most people enjoy creating that patina where your boot flexes. You can kind of see how my ankle wears a little bit here. But yeah, I don't like wearing wedges in the winter, so I like to at least get them out in the fall and the spring. And honestly, nothing says October like Anvil Rose's channel in terms of the Mocktober, like a good mock toe boot. And I've been really enjoying this one. I can't review this yet. I've only had it for about 3 months and kind of only wearing it a little bit in the summer because of the heat. And it is a larger ankle here. But I will get you probably by the end of the fall, maybe like a dedicated review if that's something you'd want to see about any of these boots that we talk about today. Let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, CF Stead, Waxy Commander. Looking forward to seeing how this patinas over time. All right, boot number 2, the black boot. Let's get the brown and the black out of the way. Oh my gosh, do I absolutely adore this boot. I wore this to I got it for, well, I got it because I love it, but I got it just in time for a wedding shower that I went to this summer. And to me, this was just, I just couldn't stop staring at it. If you guys have ever seen that movie, Attack the Block, it's got these monsters in it that are just so dark and black. It's like you can't even see them. It's like they're the negative of light. And this leather, this black oiled roughout from Truman Boots, well, Seidel Tannery, crafted into a boot by Truman, is just so stunning with the contrast stitching that you have on the toe cap, the cream colored welt stitch here. When it comes to fall, nothing says fall like a good texture, right? Particularly when it comes to clothes and such. When you can add texture on the boot leathers too, that's something that I've really enjoyed in the fall, particularly just because I don't know, I find it harder to do, particularly in the summer. And I'm looking as I start to break this one in more to see how the neck just kind of like gets more fuzzy, particularly in the heel space, because that tends to be an area where I hit it a lot, particularly with like rolling desk chairs and stuff like that. But this is just one of those leathers. I think it broke in a lot easier. They say it's like a medium temper. At least I think that's what it said on the Seidel site. But this is definitely an easier leather for me to break in. And it is so comfortable that this is going to be my go-to boot this fall for black. All right, third, red. We got to talk about burgundy because I do think that this is one of the most flexible colors in a man's boot wardrobe. And this season, we're going to go with the CF Stead red russet Rambler made by Truman Boots. You guys know what I mean. CF Stead makes the leather in terms of the tannery, and it's crafted by Truman Boots. And this is, this might be a little bit too heady, but when you look at this leather, particularly as the wax, again, it's a waxed leather, finished flesh side out from CF Stead. I will definitely have a dedicated review for this one because this is one of my favorite boots. But why I like it for fall so much is, one, because of the color. Red, orange, yellow, those just go. It's got the tread to make it hardy. I wore this out to Michigan where it is particularly dusty. You can get a lot of rocks stuck in the tread, but it gives you that sure-footedness, particularly when you're walking through leaves and such. You never know what you're going to step on. But again, maybe a little bit too heady, but look at the veining on this. Does that not remind you of the leaves, right? Like there's something about, again, like I talked about with the black oiled roughout, that when you can add texture to what you're wearing, I think it just really elevates basically your shoe selection option. So not just the wax and the veining here, but also you can see a lot of nep when it comes to, the leather on this boot too. So this is my red burgundy choice that I'm going with this fall. I think it's just a really flexible color, and we'll talk about it more in the winter because I have a dressier leather that I like to wear in the winter with this. But let's move on to boot 4, and that's the workhorse. Everybody needs that boot that they can just kind of walk around in, not worry about the elements, which is true for most of these boots. But when you're going to particularly go muddy, or, when I take my kid to soccer practice, man, a lot of times those fields, they're flooded and you're just going to get your shoe soaked. You like having a boot that you can go to that you're not really worried about the looks. And that is my Jim Green African Ranger. Now this is actually a barefoot boot. If you don't know what a barefoot shoe is, like usually like they want like minimal cushioning, like they want a lot of ground feel, which I think is also useful for when stepping through the leaves to the earlier discussion too. But they like a zero drop. I wear zero drop shoes a lot of time in terms of my tennis shoes and such. It's nice to have that in the boot option, but also the green adds a nice little flair in terms of the fall style. What I like about Jim Greens for us fat-footed people is right here, this toe box. You are fitting your toes in this toe box. You can see, I've heard speculation that this is a 3E. I might have read that on the site. I don't know. Gareth puts out a lot of information. If you don't follow the Jim Green YouTube channel, he puts out so much content on how they make these boots. What I like about these two is, in terms of workhorses and throwing them on quickly, I like the fact that these have just the 5 eyelets, right? 2 speed hooks, 3 normal eyelets. It makes these really quick lace-ups. It is fully gusseted. I did have a mistake here recently where I bought a Thursday boot and it said it was fully gusseted. It's totally not. I'm going to have to do some tests to learn some more about that. But this one is fully gusseted, barefoot, quick put on, great fudge color for the fall season. And it's just, honestly, a really well-made boot at a crazy affordable price. So easily could recommend this light, go-through boot. And ethically, look it up on the website. If I do a dedicated review, we'll talk about it more. There's a lot to be said that I like about this company. So Jim Green, African Ranger barefoot shoe. All right, last but not least, we got to talk about what is my, quote unquote experimental boot. It just might be a colorway or a leather texture, something that's new to me. And I actually, believe it or not, have never owned a green boot. And I've read a lot about how hey, it's really easy to put this in with both black and brown, styled clothes and such. So I said, okay, I need to get myself a green boot. So this is a brand new boot. I think I wore this on like a 1-mile walk just around my neighborhood. So I really can't tell you much about this boot. But this is the Jungle Boot from Grant Stone, and it's made in Kangaroo. I know. I don't know a ton about Kangaroo leather. I do have another boot that I had. I got that one maybe a year ago in Kangaroo leather, also from Grant Stone. But I watched, if you guys know Stridewise, he put out a great, little video on, is kangaroo leather ethical? But it's an animal that some of the kangaroo get culled yearly in Australia. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And I really like the way that, when you look at cowhide, depending on how tight, like, if you get calf, it'll roll, right? But a lot of like, when you look at Chrome XL or just, cowhide in general, sometimes you have like the creasing, and I think it looks gorgeous a lot of the times. But what I've really enjoyed about my Ottawa, and what I'm looking to see what happens here with my green jungle boots here, is it's kind of more of like a ripple. Like it's a very subtle, I don't want to say creasing, but it's like a rolling effect that kangaroo gives. And I kind of like the idea of these going into late fall. Particularly, I like the green kind of being reminiscent again of a fall color. The tread is going to kick some butt. You got to have at least a couple of mock toe options, in my opinion, for fall. And this, along with the Earth boot, which is also on the Floyd Last, just higher ankle, I think it is, and then they don't have the speed hooks on those. It just gives you an option to get laced up a little bit faster if you're slow. And the green goes with anything, so it's a good option to quickly select. If you are looking, like I said, for some more dedicated reviews on any of these, and again, stay tuned because I will do 5 new boots for the winter and 5 new boots for the summer is my plan. Feel free to subscribe to check that out. But let me know if you want to see more dedicated review on these or what other questions you may have. I would recommend all of these boots. Obviously, none of these are... Now, I'm not selling any of these anytime soon. Sometimes I sell boots because I have limited space, like I said. So let me know how you guys handle your rotation. To me, I'm impulsive. When I see a boot that's just crazy new or really changes how I think I can style an outfit, I get a little excited, particularly when it comes to fall, because you'll finally get to wear clothes as opposed to the summer, at least here in Indiana. So hope you guys are having a great fall. Thanks for checking it out. Like, comment, subscribe, and look forward to hearing from you.